Welcome to Housing Development.
I'm Jim Tobin.
And I'm Paul Lopez.
Hey, Paul.
Ooh,
yeah.
Developments indeed.
Yeah. What a start to week 3 of Trump 2.0, huh?
It only feels like 3 years. So.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, it's been quite the weekend. Obviously, Friday, we knew, let's talk tariffs, right? I guess let's introduce the topic.
Right. But before we do that, and before we get into the hard news, let's bring up our sponsor, LG Pro Builder.
Let's build a good life together. Thanks for being with us.
That's right.
Speaking of LG, the tariffs, we're going to hit our dear friends at LG. So
yeah, they are.
Yeah.
So we had a pretty busy weekend.
Yep.
At NAHB. We were doing a lot of talking with all the various groups. So there was tariffs that were announced that
right.
definitely hardcore. 25 hard set for both Canada and Mexico, 10% for China.
That's right.
We had some inklings. We've been talking to the administration, but it could have been a little squishy. But then all of a sudden, according to everybody, they turned firm.
Yeah, I think there were talks over the kind of leading up into last week that maybe there were going to be some exemptions. So we certainly talked to the administration and the White House in particular about exemptions for Canadian lumber, because there's already almost a 15% tariff on Canadian lumber. So maybe we don't need to add another 25% on top of that. Let's talk about other building materials, gypsum in particular, coming from Mexico, one of the other bigger imports that we have. And and I think as that got out, I think that kind of steeled the president a little bit to just whack everybody all at once. Yeah. And so, active weekend, talking to the administration, issuing, we had a statement about, our disappointment with the president's decision to go ahead with these.
They got covered everywhere. I just shout out to public affairs.
Yeah, I mean, China, Canada, and Mexico, in that order, are our biggest trading partners when it comes to building materials. So this is going to have a direct impact, not only on I think the pace and supply of construction, but more importantly, the cost of construction. Plus, if you're going to furnish your home, I mean, there isn't a room in a home that is not affected by these tariffs, whether it's even outside HVAC equipment from Mexico, ceiling fans, doors, just the framing of the house and sheathing. So it was going to be a big impact.
Yeah, and something that you brought up when you were doing your interviews yesterday is okay. That's great. Tariffs are going to reduce the desire, of our companies to take on lumber. As you said, it could be high as 35. That doesn't mean that Canada's just going to sit and watch their lumber rot in the yards, right? They're going to find another buyer, which may mean that permanently those supplies go away for us.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Canada, you're going to say, forget the American market, and because if it's 25% plus the 15, a good 40%, they're going to ship their logs to China. I mean, that's going to be it's going to be a big market for them. Right. There's no duties or tariffs as far as I know, and so what you're going to have is that our supply is going to slowly dwindle, which means it's going to drive prices up. Right. But we also need to look, if these tariffs would have gone into effect, and they still might, a month later or a month from now. Yeah. What are our other markets where we can tap into? Traditionally we've looked to the Scandinavian countries to import more timber and lumber from there, and then we look to South America. Their grading is a little different than ours, but we do have some free trade agreements down there. So we want to make sure that we can find a sustainable, reliable, inexpensive source of lumber to keep building homes.
And Lord knows how, what the stats will be once people listen to this podcast. But basically, we juiced up, to 11 yesterday, our messaging. The stock market did their part. And I mean, at one point the Dow was down like 800 and something points. I mean, roughly 2% across the board in terms of the major stock indexes. Right. And then that's when the White House came out and said, well, actually, we've come to an agreement with both Mexico and Canada to kind of hold this off until, another 31 days, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess, we always know, President Trump has said that he's going to use tariffs, to create better deals. I think obviously in the short term, it feels like he got a better deal out of both countries. Remember the president was kind of working under these kind of emergency powers when it comes to, fentanyl and the border crisis. Right. So he got something out of both countries, at least by 30 days. If you're Mexico and Canada, you have to ask yourself, we're going to be right back in this in 27 days from now or whatever the math would be. As an industry, we've got to ask ourselves, is this going to be rinse and repeat? We're going to get all ginned up and then we're going to move the football again. So either way, it'd be nice if we can get to a place where these threats of tariffs are no longer on us. Now, that said, while they may have gone away temporarily for Canada and Mexico, we still have 10% tariffs on China. And that's in addition to the Trump-Biden tariffs that have stayed in place over the last 8 years. So,
and China's come back and retaliated, and they're adding 10%.
Yes,
so,
and they're not going to buy. They buy a lot of pork from us, a lot of agricultural materials. We're in this kind of global trade where there's threats on the EU next, and the EU is going to threaten and put tariffs on bourbons and all kinds of things. So anyway, it's.
What does your gut though tell you? Like, do you think in the next 30 days things kind of calm down? At least for for the North American, treaty, for lack of a better term, which Trump put together in his first term,
the USMCA, which was the old NAFTA, the new NAFTA. Yeah, I think it's all about trying to get a better deal. I take the president's word. I think he feels like the U.S. is out there. We're the world's policeman. We're also large foreign aid. We've paused all of that. He saw what he did with USAID.
Yeah.
So I just think he gets the sense that we're sending more money overseas, and in our trade practices, we haven't been America first. The president talks a lot about America first. I take him at his word on this stuff, that he's going to continue trying to find the best deal that he can. Whether it's a perfect deal, I think the president, is searching for that. But at the end of the day, I think we're going to see this for the foreseeable future, this back and forth. And we've got to be prepared. We're as Ken Wingert, our chief advocacy officer, said, we're not going to respond to every tweet the president sends out, but this was a legitimate threat, and we're going to react to it.
Sure.
The good news is we've got a line into the White House. He understands, what we're doing. We know he's committed to building more homes to solve our affordability crisis. We just need to keep communicating with them, and maybe next time there are some exemptions. We'll have to see how it evolves, but we're on it.
So speaking of another issue that we're on, and that's immigration. That's a little bit trickier.
It is, yeah.
But let's talk about this because, we're already, you and I just finished some town halls, across a couple of our regions here in the United States. They're saying that they're already seeing, at least a couple of members said, look, we're starting to hear that crews aren't showing up, and because they're worried about ICE coming in and so on and so forth. Let's talk about this. What do you think is happening, and what do you think the next steps are?
Well, I think the president, true to his word, started these immigration raids. We've seen them in Chicago, Raleigh. I've heard San Antonio, a variety of places. Massachusetts, I've heard. New Jersey, I've heard.
Right.
So they are happening across the country, and now crews are not showing up because they're afraid to get caught out by an ICE raid or anything like that. So it's a really delicate situation right now. And as we said, the same thing with tariffs. We're getting ready to move into our busy buying and selling and building season. Yeah. And so these disruptions are going to cost time and money to builders, our customers. So but again, I'll say this. I've said it many times. The president ran on these issues. Yeah. So it should not be a surprise. I got asked by one of the media outlets, "Are you surprised this happened?" And I said no. Maybe it happened faster, and it was much more when it comes to tariffs in particular, higher than I thought it was going to be.
Right.
But again, so far the president has done what he said he was going to do. We may not like it, and it may be disruptive, but we'll be continuing to work with the president and the White House to try to get to a point where we can talk about comprehensive immigration reform. And for immigration reform in particular, we have got to solve the border crisis. We've got to get a visa system that works for us. We have got to have employers have confidence when they use a government database to hire people, that they are comfortable those people are work eligible and legal in this country. And then we've got to figure out what we're going to do with the undocumented that are in the country. How do we bring them out of the shadows? Wholesale deportations of tens of millions of people or millions of people is impractical. We're seeing the kind of that criminal element. Those with criminal records are being detained and sent back to other countries.
Sure.
But what do we do with all the others? We can't look at the proverbial, the rotten, what is it? The rotten 11 ruin it for the other million. We have to be really careful here. But we need to start talking about comprehensive immigration reform, engaging our allies in Congress let's solve this issue once and for all.
Yeah, and we should tell our audience, like usually we would point you to, a particular document or something on the website that would help you kind of go through this process. Things are so much in flux. We kind of want to wait and see, and then we'll definitely update all our documents, and then we'll send that out in a future podcast. But I mean, it's something that kind of begs the question of, okay, so what comes next? Like what do we do as an association? I know that we have that lovely direct pipeline to the White House, which we love, but what really can those who are affected, because it seems like it's happening both in the red states and the blue states, right? Yeah. So what kind of advice do we give to those folks who are dealing with this at the local level?
Yeah, I think you just have to be on your toes. I think you have to make, look, it's worthwhile to make sure that everybody's got their work papers, and you want to have them on the job site. You want to, you just need to be prepared as a business for what your legal responsibilities are.
Right.
But it's a difficult situation, no doubt about it. And we're going to continue to talk about the need for skilled labor, right? I mean, that's the issue. Yeah. 25 to 30% of the residential construction labor is immigrant labor. That's because we don't have enough domestic labor. So we've got to talk about, getting more kids in the trades, creating more skilled trade opportunities, talk about it as a career right there. That's the other part of this as well.
Right.
The workforce issue, and it's easy to talk about immigration, right? But we need to talk about it as a workforce issue.
Yeah, holistic.
And an economic issue. We've got businesses across this country. It's not just home building, it's restaurants, it's agriculture. Mm-hmm. It's so many, it's the seasonal workers, it's in ski lifts and summer resorts. Immigrant labor is so critical to the economic engine of this country. Mm-hmm. We've got to talk about it from that, but then also the human side. I mean, what are we doing to people? Is it realistic to round them all up and send them home? Yeah. So it's a broad conversation.
And this is a conversation that we're effectively going to be talking about in 3 to 4 weeks at our International Builder Show and our meetings. So let's talk about that. Let's transition to the show. I mean, things are doing gangbusters, right? Looks like it's going to be a bigger show than last year.
Both
on the exhibitor side and the attendee side. Attendee side is 2% above what it was last year, which was kind of insane. Yeah. So, I guess kudos, but I mean, what else should we be doing to get ready for all this? Because all of a sudden we were bombarded with a lot of information and a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, we said all the time, if you want to be on the cutting edge of technology and the cutting edge of building materials and products, you need to be in IBS. If you want to have cutting edge education to make sure you're ready to meet the demands of your customers,
right,
you need to be at IBS. And if you want just to soak in the benefits of being around fellow builders and associates, to talk about business and develop those business contacts, we are going to build more homes in this country this year than we did last year. And if you are prepared for that, congratulations. But I think that at the beginning of the year, you want to make sure that you're in Las Vegas,
right,
to be at IBS, to not only learn the important policy issues that are ahead of us, hear the latest and greatest of what the economy is going to do, but again, that networking and that knowledge transfer, and to walk the floor and see the best products that are going to go into a home construction or into a home period.
Yeah,
you need to be there.
Right. I mean, we're always excited about the exhibits. This time around, I think education, to your point of just talking to your peers of like how they're addressing some of these issues is looks like it's critical this year more than most.
That's right.
All right, that was a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I know we're it's a short hitter this week, but I hope to see everybody safely travel to Las Vegas.
If you are going, please download the app. That is probably the best way. I mean, there's no way that somebody can do and see everything in 3 days, but the app at least helps you out and you get a better sense as to what's going on, so you don't miss the stuff that you want.
Yeah, and the show's segmented, right? So you can pick what segments are important to you, and you'll see all those products in that segment. I mean, it's gonna be Las Vegas. It's gonna be
the
great.
Show.
It's gonna be a really big show. Yeah, that's right.
All right. Final shout out to our LG Pro Builder.
LG, they'll be there in Las Vegas. You gotta see LG. But our LG, the Pro Builder.
Let's build a good life together.
So until next time. And who knows what's going to happen between now and then. In fact, we could probably do another podcast this afternoon and something will change. But until then, I'm Jim Tobin.
And I'm Paul Lopez.
See ya.
Bye.
Welcome back to another episode of Builders Show Insider. Today we have Topher McClarty, who is the Senior Director of Membership here at NAHB. welcome, Topher.
Thanks for having me.
So I thought what may be interesting to people is to learn a little bit about NAHB HQ. And I think you're involved in that. Mm-hmm. So can you kind of give them an overview?
Absolutely. So NAHB HQ is a members-only zone at the Builder Show, dedicated to our members that have their badge that says NAHB member on it. And it's meant and built to emulate a airport lounge and a access-only kind of feel.
That's cool.
It's an area where we try to create different experiences throughout the day for our members, so they can come and sit down and take a few loads off their feet for a few minutes, entertain each other, as well as just kind of network amongst each other as members.
So where would they find NAHB HQ?
It's in the Central Hall. It's the very first thing you'll see when you walk in the Central Hall. You have a big, giant, rotating NAHB sign that you cannot miss.
Okay. And this year, when you come to the Builder Show, Central Hall, I don't think you've seen it. We were just there for a site visit. When you come into Central Hall from the outside, you will notice there's this enormous scaffolding, which if you're in building, I'm thinking you're going to be wowed by it. I'm in the industry, but I'm a marketing person. It looks gorgeous, even as scaffolding. But when you come in, it will drop you right in front of NAHB HQ. So it should be easy for people to find. So you mentioned there are activities. What are the activities like? What would they participate in?
So we've kind of tried to structure the day where there's different things throughout the day. First thing we start off with in the morning is coffee and donuts for members.
I bet that's popular.
It is very popular, so you have to get there early. We actually open an hour earlier than the show. So we open at 8 a.m. on show days for the NAHB HQ, and we run through until we run out of supplies, basically, for the coffee and donuts. Then throughout the day, we have different kind of meetups for individual groups. There's some education that goes on at the booth, and then just general networking opportunities as well. And then we end the day on Wednesday and Thursday with a happy hour for all our members.
That's nice.
So if you stop by the booth, you have the ability to come in and have a drink on us.
The staffing, I'm sure, is some NAHB staff, but I feel like I've seen other people there. So who are the other people that are kind of staffing that space?
So we actually ask for a lot of volunteers from several committees of the NAHB's ranks. So we ask for the committee members from the membership, associates, young professionals, and honestly anybody who is a member that wants to get to know others as well as just engage with the staff that are working. Please come by and donate a little bit of your time. It's a great opportunity to talk to those non-members who are interested in joining. And if you're doing and recruiting and collecting spike points, that's a great time to do it.
So if someone who hasn't signed up is interested in volunteering, how would they do that?
They can reach out to me directly. We have a list of individuals that have already done so, but we can also just show up. I mean, if you have time, if you're walking between the booths and you're just like, oh, well, let me just spend some time there, we'll happily
you'll
use
take them,
assistance.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I brought a few things that I thought we could preview for people because also traditionally, the NAHB booth has had some fun swag.
Yes.
And I'm not sure you've even seen some of it, but we'll go through the things that usually are there. So you've had laptop stickers and small NAHB stickers. So if you don't have one of these, definitely stop by. I know we're currently reordering more. We have little lapel pens. Last year, we debuted NAHB socks.
Big hit, by the way.
Very popular.
Yes.
So what was fun is we didn't even tell you they were coming.
You did not.
We ordered them because surprise and delight, big thing in trade shows. And the staff was surprised and delighted, and so were the members. New this year is the challenge coin.
Ooh, lovely.
So I actually think you came up with this idea, didn't you?
I had mentioned it in the past, and I thought it was just a cool idea to try and have some sort of memorabilia that was more of a limited release almost.
Right.
It's just great to see that it actually came into fruition.
Yes. I mean, they literally were delivered 15 minutes before I came down here. And there are only 500 of these.
Ooh, very limited.
I think even a little less than that are going to the show. So we have some here. I don't know that you can see them. Maybe we'll put the art up here so you can kind of see what they look like. They're very nice. They're weighty.
They definitely have a little bit of weight to them, yeah.
And I think for some people, they don't know what a challenge coin is. I didn't know what a challenge coin was. So can you kind of tell people where I don't know if it's the true origin, but what you know of it?
I'll tell you what I know. I can't guarantee that I know the full history, but it's a symbol of a specific kind of I mean, I guess the title kind of implies it's a challenge coin, right? So you've completed something to receive this coin, and it's an emblematic representation of what you've done.
Okay, so you see it, I think, in the military.
Military does it a lot. A lot of defense contractors do it. It's just a very proud way for you to carry around a memento saying that you've done something, and there's a bit of respect that comes with it. If you have this one, I have this one too.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's a camaraderie that comes along with it.
Yeah. That's great. So, I mean, obviously, we know this isn't like serving in the military to come to the Builder Show, but we do have diehards that come every year, and even if it's your first time coming, it's just kind of a fun. I think it's a fun thing. We are talking about doing this at board meetings too. That is not in stone, so don't show up at spring and be like, "Where's my challenge coin?" But if it goes over well, I think that is kind of an idea that we might pursue. And again, these are very limited edition.
Yes.
The booth officially opens on Tuesday. Correct.
8 a.m.
And 8 a.m., right, for the donuts and coffee. And I think the plan now is to kind of have some each day so that we do have people that won't be there Tuesday that might be there Wednesday. But if you're interested, Topher will be working the booth, correct?
I'll be there as much as I can. I will happily distribute these things.
Right. And then the other thing I wanted to preview is our tape measures. So I feel like we're kind of like an infomercial at this point.
It does feel like it a little bit. But
it does feel like an infomercial. But these are all free things. Again, these are for NAHB members.
Member gift. Yep.
Yep. Member gift. And we went through a lot of debating on this tape measure, but it's very, very nice. It's 15 feet. We didn't go with the 12, but it's really nice and heavy. So that's another fun thing at the booth. The last thing I want to ask is just for somebody who's a non-member, what would they come by the booth? Like they could come by the booth and find out about membership. And, I mean, it's probably a nice place to stop and just kind of get a global view. You could help them find their local and their local association. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have membership staff that will be monitoring the membership booth corner that has the computers and all the access to all that information. Those staff are experts in membership. So they will be able to help anybody with any questions they might have. And if we don't have the answers right away, we will find the person who has the answer for like a specific code question, or if somebody has a question about waters of the U.S. I'm not an expert in that, so I can find that information out. But generally speaking, we're there to help any individual join their local association. And it helps if you have a member there.
Right.
Volunteer members make a big impact on that.
Right, because they can tell them firsthand.
Exactly.
And if people join at the show, then they are members and they could go have the free coffee and donuts.
Absolutely. Right? This year, we're actually going to allow them into the booth as new members. In the past, it was not quite the same. Yes.
Yeah. That sounds great. Is there anything else that you think it would be good for people to know?
One last thing. We are doing 3 different group-specific meetups.
Okay.
So Tuesday morning at 10 a.m., we are doing an associates-only meetup at the booth. Not saying we can't have builders in there, but it's dedicated to associates so they can get together and network with each other and create that network that they wanted to have as a group specifically. And
there's no pre-registration or anything?
No pre-registration, just show
perfect.
up. And honestly, we're not going to check and see if you're an associate or not. I'm not. That's too much. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, we have the HBCU members.
Oh, cool.
They're going to be meeting up at 10 a.m. as well. We're going to have a small contingent of young professionals that are going to be there as well to kind of, lead that conversation and create that camaraderie. And then Thursday at 10 a.m., we're going to have the student chapters get together.
Oh, nice.
So student chapter members will be done competing on Wednesday.
So Sarah was on this last week and talked about the student competitions.
Great. It's an exciting thing. I'm hoping I can break away to go see a little bit of it this year. But those groups that are actually competing, we're inviting them to come to the HQ and just get to know each other. Different schools talking to each other. It doesn't hurt the networking opportunity for them.
Right. That'll be really
as well as potential members.
Right.
I mean, they're going to graduate soon, so let's talk to them about how they can build their careers using NAHB's resources.
Yeah, that sounds really great. And those are new this year, right?
Those are very new, yes. This is the first year. We're expecting a large crowd, actually, but it's going to be an exciting time, I think. And we're expecting to kind of have to manage the crowds to fit in the space we have. So we're excited about it.
It sounds like it'll be busy. Thank you, Topher. I wanted to let you know that The Builder Show app has launched. So for you and anyone else out there, you can go to the Google Play Store. I think that's what it's called.
Yes.
I'm an Apple person. Google Play Store or the App Store. If you search for International Builder Show 2025, you should be able to find it, download it, start building your schedule. I'm not positive all the HQ events are in there now, but they will be in there so people can mark those. And then lastly, this year the credential mailer looks a little different. We switched to this really cool Tyvek material. It's supposed to be, it is more cost efficient and more durable. So be watching for this. It has all the good stuff that you would recognize from years past. They just started mailing, so you do not need to contact us if you've not received it yet. It is on its way as long as you registered by January 17th. So that was the last day to register and receive this in the mail. Now, the one difference from years past is when you receive this in the mail, you are not going to have a lanyard. That is not part of the package this year. The lanyards will be given out on site. There will be places when you come into the registration areas and places in the convention center. And we will definitely message everyone where you can pick up a lanyard. Well, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon.